So, because it's Rama Navami, I wanted to sing Sri Dashavatar Stotra by Jayadev Goswami, because Lord Ram is one of the Dash avatars. So, I guess we can sing that. $115 in your. Do you do anything? Pralaya payodhi jale dhritavānasi vedam vihita vahitra charitram akedam. Pralaya payodhi Shava Dhrita Mina Sharira Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Tiriha vipulatare tishtati tava prishthe dharani dharana kina chakra garishte. Keshavadhrita Kurma Sharira Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Sati dashana shikhare dharani tabalagna shashini kalanka kaleva nimagna. Keshavadhrita Shukara Rūpa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Kara Kamalavare Nakamadbhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringam Keshavadhrita Narahari Rūpa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Chalayasi vikramane balamadbhutavamana padanakhanirajanita janapavana. Keshavadrita Vamana Rūpa Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Rudhiramaye jagadapagata papam snapayasi payasi shamita bhavatapam. Rudhiramaye jagadapagata papam Keshavadhrita Bhrikupati Rūpa Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Tarasi dikshurane dikpati kamaniyam dashamukha mauli balim ramaniyam. Vitarasi dikshurane dikpati Keshavadhrita Rama Sharira Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Siva Pushi Vishade Vasanam Jaladabdham Halahati Bhiti Milita Yamunabham. Bahasiva Pushi Vishade Keshavadhrita Haladhara Rūpa Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Tadasi yajna vidheraha shruti jatam Sadaya hridaya darshita pashughatam. Keshavadhrita buddha sharira Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Nivaha nidhane kalayasi karavalam Dhumaketum iva kim api karalam Kalayasi kalavalam Dhumaketum iva kim api karalam Keshavadhrita Kalki Sharira Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Deva Kaveridamuditamudaram Shrinu Sukhadam Shubhadam Bhavasaram. Keshavadhrita Dashavidha Rūpa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of a fish, all glories to you. You easily acted as a boat in the form of a giant fish just to give protection to the Vedas, which had become immersed in the turbulent sea of devastation. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of a tortoise, all glories to you. In this incarnation as a divine tortoise, the great Mandara mountain rests upon your gigantic back as a pivot for churning the ocean of milk. From holding up the huge mountain, a large scar-like depression is put in your back, which has become most glorious. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of a boar, all glories to you. The earth, which has become immersed in the Garbhodaka ocean at the bottom of the universe, sits fixed upon the tip of your tusk like a spot upon the moon. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who has assumed the form of half man, half lion, all glories to you. Just as one can easily crush a wasp between one's fingernails, so in the same way the body of the wasp-like demon Hiranyakashipu has been ripped apart by the wonderful pointed nails on your beautiful lotus hands. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of a dwarf brahmana, all glories to you. O wonderful dwarf, by your massive steps you deceive King Bali, and by the Ganges water that has emanated from the nails of your lotus feet, you deliver all living beings within this world. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of Bhrigupati, Parashuram, all glories to you. At Kurukshetra you bathe the earth in the rivers of blood from the bodies of the demoniac Kshatriyas that you have slain. The sins of the world are washed away by you, and because of you, people are relieved from the blazing fire of material existence. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of Ramachandra, all glories to you. In the battle of Lanka, you destroy the 10-headed demon Ravana and distribute his heads as a delightful offering to the presiding deities of the 10 directions, headed by Indra. This action was long desired by all of them, who were much harassed by this monster. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of Balaram, the wielder of the plow, all glories to you. On your brilliant white body you wear garments the color of a fresh blue rain cloud. These garments are colored like the beautiful dark hue of the river Yamuna, who feels great fear due to the striking of your plow's hair? Is that what that says? Plow's hair? Plowshare. Okay, anyway. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of Buddha, all glories to you. O Buddha of compassionate heart, you decry the slaughtering of poor animals, performed according to the rules of Vedic sacrifice. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of Kalki, all glories to you. You appear like a comet and carry a terrifying sword for bringing about the annihilation of the wicked barbarian men at the end of Kali Yuga. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed these 10 different forms of incarnation, all glories to you. O readers, please hear this hymn of the poet Jayadev, which is most excellent, an awarder of happiness, a bestower of auspiciousness, and the best thing in this dark world. Okay, so that was Sri Dasavatar Stotra by Sri Jayadev Goswami. Hey, Tyler, could you get me a 5th canto from upstairs? Okay, so now we'll read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 19, text number 7. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Na janma nunam mahato na sobhagam na van na buddhir na kritis tosha hetuhum tair yad visrishtan api no
You may not find it.
Vanokasash Chakara Sakhe Bata Lakshmanagraja Na janmanu nam mahato na sobhagam Navana buddhir nakritisto shahetuhu. Is this Brahma Samhita meter?
No.
No, okay, that's what I thought.
It's in the middle.
Yeah. Taryad visrishtan api novanokasash Chakara sakhe bata lakshmanagrajaha Na janmanu nam mahato na sobhagham Navana buddhir na kritisto shahetuhu. Taryad visrishtan api novanokasash Chakara sakhe bata lakshmanagrajaha Na janmanu nam mahato na sobhagam Navana buddhir nakritisto shahetuhu. Taryad visrishtan api novanokasash Chakara sakhe bata Lakshmanagrajaha Lakshmanagrajaha
Janmanunam mahatona sauvagam Navana buddhir nakritisto shahetu Nayad vishishtan apino navana kasas Chakara sakhe bata Lakshmanagrajaha Janmanunam mahatona savagam Navana buddhir nakritisto shahetu Kayad vishishtan apinovanakasas Chakara sakhe bata Lakshmanagrajaha
That's fine, I don't need more. That's fine. Mataji's. Okay. Na, not. Janma, birth in a very polished aristocratic family. Nunam, indeed. Mahata, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Na, nor. So bhagam, great fortune. Na, nor. Vak, an elegant manner of speaking. Na, nor. Buddhi, sharpness of intelligence. Na, not. Akriti, features of the body. Doshahetuhu, the cause of pleasure to the Lord. Te, by all those above-mentioned qualities. Yet, because. Visrishtan, rejected. Api, although. Na, us. Vana-okasa, the inhabitants of the forest. Chakara, accepted. Sakye, in friendship. Bhata, alas. Lakshmana Agrajaha, Lord Sri Ramachandra, the elder brother of Lakshmana. Translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. One cannot establish a friendship with the Supreme Lord Ramachandra on the basis of material qualities such as one's birth in an aristocratic family, one's personal beauty, one's eloquence, one's sharp intelligence, or one's superior race or nation. None of these qualifications is actually a prerequisite for friendship with Lord Sri Ramachandra. Otherwise, how is it possible that although we uncivilized inhabitants of the forest have not taken noble births, although we have no physical beauty, and although we cannot speak like gentlemen, Lord Ramachandra has nevertheless accepted us as friends? In a prayer to Krishna expressing her feelings, Srimati Kunti Devi called him a Kinchana Gochara. The prefix a means not, and Kinchana means something of this material world. One may be very proud of his prestigious position, material wealth, beauty, education, and so on. But although these are certainly good qualifications in material dealings, they are not necessary for achieving friendship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who possesses all these material qualities is expected to become a devotee. And when he actually does, the qualities are properly utilized. Those who are puffed up by a high birth, wealth, education, and personal beauty, janmaiśvarya-śruta-śrī, unfortunately do not care for developing Krishna consciousness, nor does the Supreme Personality of Godhead care about all these material qualifications. The Supreme Lord is achieved by devotion, bhaktyā abhijānāti. One's devotion and sincere desire to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead are the only qualifications. Rūpa Gosvāmī has also said that the price for achieving God's favor is simply one's sincere eagerness to have it. Laulyam, ekaṁ, mūlyam. In the Chaitanya Bhagavatam it is said, Kolavecha Sheva Kere Deka Bhagya Shima Brahma Shiva Kande Jar Dekhiya Mohima Dhane Jane Panditye Krishna Nahi Pai Keval Bhaktir Vasha Chaitanya Goshai. Behold the great fortune of the devotee Kolavecha. Lord Brahma and Shiva shed tears upon seeing his greatness. One cannot attain Lord Krishna by any amount of wealth, followers, or learning. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is controlled only by pure devotion. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this is the end of that quote, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had a very sincere devotee whose name was Kolavecha Sridhar, and whose only business was to sell pots made of the skin of banana trees. Whatever income he had, he used 50% for the worship of Mother Ganga, and with the other 50% he provided for his necessities. On the whole, he was so very poor that he lived in a cottage that had a broken roof with many holes in it. He could not afford brass utensils, and therefore he drank water from an iron pot. Nevertheless, he was a great devotee of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is a typical example of how a poor man with no material possessions can become a most exalted devotee of the Lord. The conclusion is that one cannot attain shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna or Sri Chaitanya Goshai through material opulence. That shelter is attainable only by pure devotional service. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadhyanavratam anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhaktirutama. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. Om ajnānatimirandasya jnānāñjana shalakaya chakshurun militam yena tasmai Shri Gurave namaha. Shri Chaitanya manobhishtam sthapitam yena bhutale svayam Rūpa Gosvāmī dadati svapadantikam nama shreshtam manamapi shachiputramatra svarupam rupam tasyagrajam urupurim maturim goshtavatim radha kundam girivaramaho radhika madhavasham prapto yasya pratita kripaya Shri Gurum tam natosmi Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rūpam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhi evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So today is Sri Ram Navami Mahotsava, which is the appearance day of Lord Sri Ramachandra. So within the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, generally our emphasis is more on Krishna, the pastimes of Krishna. But many also worship Lord Ramachandra. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there are many associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who were Ram Bhaktas. A famous one is Murari Gupta, who was the incarnation of Hanuman, the real incarnation of Hanuman. And he was so fixed on the service of Lord Ramachandra that even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none other than Lord Ramachandra, he was repeatedly preaching to him to, just worship the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. This is the highest attainment. Just chant the name of Krishna, worship him, and eventually you'll attain him. And so Murari Gupta, it's described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that he had some kind of change of heart because he considered it. He would say, yes, I'll do it. And one day, after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had spoken like this to him, he went home in the evening and his mind was just completely disturbed. He was thinking, man, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was instructing me to give up the service of Lord Ramachandra and take up the service of Lord Krishna. But how can I do such a thing? How can I give up the service of Lord Ramachandra? But simultaneously, how can I neglect the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? So his mind was very disturbed, and actually he was praying to Lord Ramachandra that night. He was praying, just let me die, because I can't possibly give up the service of your lotus feet. And also I can't neglect the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very pleased, actually, with this attitude of Murari Gupta, and he glorified him for this, and he said you should keep worshiping Lord Ramachandra because this is the real. You've attained real devotion. You're experiencing and you're embodying real bhakti. So he encouraged him to keep going on this way, and he revealed to him actually that he was that Murari Gupta was an incarnation of Hanuman. Another instance in the Chaitanya Charitamrita is when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was traveling in South India, and he came to the city of Sri Shaila, and he met one Brahmana who was a Ram Bhakta, and this Brahmana invited Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his home. But when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got there, he invited him for lunch. That was the implication. And so he got there, and this Brahmana had not cooked. There was no prasadam or anything like that ready. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him, he said, you've invited me to your home, but you haven't cooked anything. There's nothing prepared. What's going on? And so this Brahmana, Ramdas Vipra, he explained to him that, we're in the forest now. Lakshmana has to come back with roots and things like that. And also he was so upset at having heard that Sita was kidnapped by Ravana that he wasn't eating. He was so upset. He was thinking that this was happening right now. Eventually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his further travels, he heard these brahmanas reciting from the Kurma Purana how actually Sita Devi the real Sita Devi wasn't captured, but she was protected by Agni, and a Mayak form of Sita was actually taken by Ravana. So there's actually another instance. There's an instance in the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya of something similar. Kulashekar Alwar, who is one of the 12 Alwars in the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, he was a great king. And when he heard that Sita was captured by Ravana, he called for his troops. He called for the army. He said, okay, gather all the troops. We're going to go fight Ravana. We're going to go get Sita back for Lord Ram. It didn't occur to him that actually this occurred millions and millions of years ago. So this is the degree of absorption in the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that we should aim for. And the Lord descends from the spiritual world specifically for this purpose, to give the devotees, one is to give the devotees something to meditate on, to give the devotees something to relish, speaking about and hearing about, but also to prove, to show that He is, in fact, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Many people nowadays, and before as well, have no interest practically at all in God. Like if you go to, even if you just go outside here and you tell somebody, today is Ram Navami, Prabhu Hari Bol. They're not gonna know what that means. They're not gonna have any interest in knowing what that means. Even if you tell somebody it's Easter or if it's Christmas or something like that, really they don't have much interest in that either, even though it's, you could say, their own culture. So what are they interested? They're interested in practically speaking, sense gratification. They're interested in gross sense gratification, subtle sense gratification of the body, of the mind. They're interested in them being the center, them being the center of the world, and being the proprietor of everything. So this is the mentality that Ravana had. Ravana was so lusty that when he beheld the beauty of Sita, he desired to have her. And now, okay, somebody in this world may be lusty. They may see a woman and think, oh wow, it's a very beautiful woman, or vice versa. They see, oh wow, it's a very beautiful man. But he was so lusty that actually he decided to kidnap her. He went that far as to actually go there to the forest where Ramchandra and Sita and Lakshmana were, and he kidnapped her for himself. That's really lusty, because, yeah, she wasn't his, and people that's just like in the course of normal social behavior, people don't just do that. Even if somebody wants something, usually there's some kind of, barrier there of morality that, okay, I want that, but I shouldn't take it. Just like if you go into somebody's home, you understand that everything in somebody's home is meant for their enjoyment. It's meant for them. It's their property. If I go into somebody's home and I say, wow, that's a really nice, it's a really nice watch or something like that, and then you just take it, because you want it, that's, not proper behavior. Why? Because, like I said, everything in that home is meant for their pleasure. They're the proprietor of that domain. So similarly, this material world, everything in this material world, everything in the spiritual world, everything is the energy of the Lord. Sita Devi, she's the energy of the Lord. And the Lord is the energetic, the possessor of the energy. So the Ravana mentality is to try to enjoy the energy of the Lord while simultaneously just kind of dismissing the Lord himself, or just not even knowing about him in the first place. So the devotees have the opposite mentality. They have very, very high regard for the Lord. They worship the Lord. And everything that they do is for the purpose of bringing the Lord and his energies together. And Hanuman is like the absolute paragon of this, the absolute example of this. He was so angry when he heard that Ravana had kidnapped Sita. He was so devoted to Lord Ramachandra. There's so many examples of this in the Ramayana. He set fire to Lanka. He jumped across the ocean. He was very dedicated to Lord Ram, and he went so far out of his way to help Lord Ram bring Sita back. Why? Not to exploit Sita Devi, not to take Sita Devi for himself and enjoy her, but for the purpose of bringing Ram and Sita back together. Just like this Ramdas Vipra. That was his only concern. His only concern was to see that Sita and Ram were brought back together. And even in Krishna Lila, this is seen as well. In Vraj, all of the inhabitants, all of the Vrajvasis, their only concern, well, maybe not their only concern, because some of them don't know necessarily about the dealings between Radha and Krishna, but at least Krishna arranges everything in Vraj so that to facilitate those pastimes between Radha and Krishna, even those who aren't necessarily, you could say, directly involved with those Leelas, still, like for example, Mother Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, and all the elder cowherd men and women, Abhimanyu, and they facilitate those Leelas by bringing about separation. So, yes, everything is arranged for bringing Radha and Krishna together, or facilitating their relationship. And so in a similar way, everything in Ram Lila is meant for facilitating the union of Sita and Ram. And so this is proper consciousness. This is proper understanding of everything. To become an instrument in the Lord's pleasure, in bringing Him and His energies together. One should think that the Lord is the proprietor of everything. Nothing is mine or anybody else's. It all belongs to Krishna, because it actually does. Like this Ram Rajya. This is one of Gandhi's things that he kind of popularized. I think it was Gandhi who popularized it. Ram Rajya, this idea that we should restore it's a political thing really for, in the case of Gandhi, but that we should restore the rule of Lord Ram. We should rule the world, just like Lord Ram did, Ram Rajya. But in order to establish Ram Rajya, whether it's in a political sense or in another sense of just seeing everything in relation to Lord Ram, we first have to establish this in our heart. We have to establish the rule of Lord Ram, Ram Rajya, within our own hearts. And the way to do that, the method for doing that, is by establishing it first just practically in our lives. And this begins with the process of Shravanam and Kirtanam, of hearing and chanting about the pastimes of the Lord and about the Lord's holy name. This is the process given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none other than Lord Ramachandra. And the example in Ram Lila, when Sita was captured by Ravana, she was in this Ashokavana, this forest of misery. And the entire time she was there, she was simply meditating upon Lord Ram and chanting His holy name. So the lesson there, and the emphasis of this verse also in the Bhagavatam, is that no matter what situation one is in, if one simply remains absorbed in thinking about Lord Ram and chanting Lord Ram's names or the names of Krishna, then one can be delivered from even the most abominable situation. Sita Devi was suffering so much in separation of Lord Ram. We can imagine, just like we hear about the separation between Radha and Krishna, and the gopis and Krishna, how they're suffering so much, or externally it seems that they're suffering so much. They're thinking that they feel like they're going to die. They feel like they're just on the verge of death. And also, like in the pastime of the chastisement of Kaliya in Vrindavan, when Krishna went under the waters of the Yamuna fighting with Kaliya, the Vrajavasis felt that their life, they actually practically died. They were like unconscious, because Krishna was their whole life. Krishna was that which was basically sustaining them. That's all they lived for. And so similarly, Sita Devi, her whole life was Lord Ram. And now she was separated. She was in some, this horrible situation, being kidnapped by this demon Ravana, who was constantly, taunting her and harassing her. But no matter what situation one is in, no matter what birth one has taken, even if they've taken a very sinful birth, even if they've taken a very high birth, no matter what one's material designations are, like in this verse, there's no need for great austerities or penances for worshiping the Lord. Everyone should worship Lord Ramachandra. That's the next verse. That's also something I was going to speak about. But one cannot establish a friendship with the Supreme Lord Ramachandra on the basis of material qualities such as one's birth in an aristocratic family, one's personal beauty, one's eloquence, one's sharp intelligence, or one's superior race or nation. Krishna doesn't care about any of these things. Krishna doesn't care whether we're rich or whether we're poor, or whether we're smart or stupid, or whether we're a dog or a whatever it is, or a monkey. Yeah, exactly. All of these material qualifications, they have no jurisdiction in the realm of bhakti. And we see, just like in Gaura Lila, the dog that was traveling with Shivananda Sen from Bengal to Nilachala went back home to Godhead by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And similarly, all the monkeys in Ram Lila, they weren't very, you could say, they weren't very eloquent, or they weren't very gentlemanly or aristocratic. But Lord Ram accepted them. Lord Ram accepted them. Why? Because of their devotion to him, of their greed and their desire to serve him. Kṛṣṇa bhakti rasa bhavatamhi. What's the next? Kṛṣṇa bhakti rasa bhavatamati. Kriyatam yadi kutopi labhyate. Tatra laulyam api mūlyam ekaṁ. Janmakoti sukritarna labhyate. That Krishna bhakti, pure devotional service to Krishna, which is free from any kind of contamination by karma or by jnana, is achieved only by greed, only by the sincere desire to attain it. And even if one performs pious activities, gives in charity, and whatever, for thousands, millions of unlimited births, one can attain Krishna bhakti just by these things. Because Krishna's only concern is, he's Lila Purushottama. His only concern is loving relationships. That's what he wants, is loving relationships. And everything that he does, whether it's in Ram Lila or Krishna Lila or Gaura Lila or whatever, is to facilitate those loving relationships between him and his devotees. So those loving relationships have to be free from any kind of material desire, have to be free from any kind of personal, selfish desire in order to be fully manifest. So, therefore, the mercy of the Lord in attaining these things is absolutely necessary, and one can't get there on their own. There's this verse, Daivihesha gunamayi mama maya duratiya mamevi prapadyante maya metam trantite, that this ocean of maya, this is very difficult to overcome. But if one simply surrenders unto Krishna, simply surrenders unto the Supreme Lord, then by His mercy we can cross beyond it and be reinstated in our original position. And so the primary way of doing this, which was given by Lord Ramachandra in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is Harinam Sankirtan, the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. And if we perform this chanting of the holy names with great eagerness, thinking, that there's nothing else better to do, having no other desire to elevate ourselves in any kind of material way, then we will factually achieve the goal of life, which is to be reinstated, like I said, in our original position, in service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And if we don't engage in this process, if we don't engage in the process of Krishna consciousness, if we maintain no interest in serving the Lord, then we'll end up like Ravana. What happened to Ravana? Ravana was killed. All of his heads were chopped off. He lost everything. And Lord Ramachandra's rule was then reestablished. So anyway, Krishna will win, no matter what. If we try to, become Krishna, if we're envious of Krishna's position as the center, we can try as we might to make ourselves the center. But anyway, Krishna will always be the center. Lord Ram will always be the center. So in any case, whatever we try to do in terms of material elevation, and trying to be the proprietor and securing material enjoyment in this life, will be completely defeated and humiliated. So anyway, Krishna will win, but we should be on the right side, just like Hanuman and all the monkeys. They were on the right side, and therefore they achieved victory. And so we should also try to be on the right side and keep ourselves associated with Krishna consciousness and our relationship with the Supreme Lord. And like this, we'll always be victorious in this life and in the next. So I will stop there.
If you will allow me, both of you, just the end of that story of the Brahmin who was so upset and he wasn't eating, and Lord Chaitanya found the Kurma Purana, but then he went back. If I could just read that, the couple of verses here. Upon hearing from the Kurma Purana, now he's in a whole different city, he went further south. Upon hearing from the Kurma Purana how Ravana had kidnapped the false form of Mother Sita, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became very satisfied. And told that the fire god Agni took away with Sita, you mentioned that, and it was a false Sita. And then it says, when Lord Chaitanya heard this story, he was very pleased, and he remembered the words of Ramdas Vipra. Indeed, Lord Chaitanya heard these conclusive statements from the Kurma Purana. He felt great happiness. After asking the Brahman's permission, he took possession of the manuscript leaves of the Kurma Purana, the ancient manuscript. Since the Kurma Purana was very old, the manuscript was also very old. Lord Chaitanya took possession of the original leaves in order to have direct evidence. The text was copied onto new leaves so that the Purana will be replaced. Lord Chaitanya returned to South Madurai, and delivered the original manuscript of the Kurma Purana to Ramdas Vipra. And it describes again what was in that Purana. Ramdas Vipra was very pleased to receive the original leaf manuscript of the Kurma Purana, and he immediately fell down before the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya and began to cry. After receiving the manuscript, the Brahman, being very pleased, said, "Sir, you are Lord Ramchandra himself, and have come in the dress of a sannyasi to give me your darshan. My dear sir, you have delivered me from a very unhappy condition. I request that you take your lunch at my place." Please accept this invitation. And then it describes, due to my mental distress, I couldn't give you a very nice lunch the other day. Now, by good fortune, you've come again to my home. Saying this, the Brahmin very happily cooked food, and a first-class dinner was offered to Lord Chaitanya. So just see the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Went all the way back there and got the original menu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for class. I have a comment that will lead into my question. Growing up in Ravana's kingdom, you could say, I spent many years in the concentration camp of the public school system, engaging in worship of Ravana. And when I came to Krishna consciousness, it was very refreshing hearing Prabhupada mention very clearly how the leaders are Rakshasas and the authorities in society are demonic. And so you mentioned in your class that we want to be on the side of good. We want to be on Ram's side, not Ravana's side. So, it's one thing to, say these things. It's another thing to perform, to actually do that. I guess I'm trying to form my question. Yeah, sorry. I'm leading to it. The question is, over the last few years, there was, I guess, a battle taking place. And as Chanakya Pandit says, you can tell where somebody is based on not when things are calm, but when they're in a state of emergency. So, as temples were being closed down, as, association was limited, or...
Hit him with a question, he'll answer.
Yeah. My question is, do we choose to follow... Do we choose to follow the true chi, or do we choose to follow the faux chi? If you understand what I'm saying.
I understood the riddle.
I was up there. Faux chi, what do you mean? What is true faux chi? You mean Fauci, the doctor? You're asking about vaccination. You make it clear what you're asking.
Yeah,
I think I understood the question, yeah. Well, I mean, I think this question kind of depends on a number of things. The thing is, it's like, I don't know if there's like one singular opinion on this, because it kind of, I mean, if we're talking about, COVID regulations and things like that, it kind of depends on what you accept as valid medical procedures. And yeah, devotees have different opinions on those things. And the devotees who, for example, close down temples and things like that, it's not that they have malicious intent, that they're trying to, stop devotees from associating. They're not trying to stop, the kirtan from going on. Their intent is to protect the devotees. Now, in the case of government leaders, whether it's kind of like planned or calculated attack on religion and the worship of God, maybe there's something to that. I can't say for sure. I don't know if anyone can say for sure. There's certainly, an argument to be made there. What I would say is that Yeah, I mean, it depends on your angle of vision, I guess. Whether we follow Fauci or whether we don't follow Fauci, whether we open the temple or don't open the temple, or close the temple or don't close the temple, whatever it is, the devotee's intent is to protect the other devotees. So one may say, okay, well, we have to protect the devotees by closing the temple so that they don't get sick, and that they, or we have to protect the devotees by having them engage in, kirtan and having, so there's different perspectives. I don't think there's one absolutely, completely cut and dry, this is absolutely correct, this is absolutely incorrect perspective. And now it's time for darshan, so.
Thank you.